EMS office hours, and this is your Monday Minutes. Today, got another special Monday Minutes here. We're going to be interviewing one of the speakers from the upcoming EMS Web Summit over at emswebsummit.com. And this is May 17th, 2012. It's going to be an all-day online event from 10 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. There'll be breaks in between, and you can attend all the sessions, or you can just attend a few. These are nice 30-minute sessions broken down for real quick, actionable content that you can use in EMS in your everyday activities and apply it to what you're doing there in the field. So I hope you'll be able to join me on this date. You can check out all the details over at emswebsummit.com and register for free. And, join us during the day. It's going to be a pretty exciting day, I think, pretty active day. Going to be some live chatting going on. There's going to be Q&A with the speakers. So I want to go ahead and get into today's interview that I did with Evan Feuer. And Evan is going to give a little insight on the EMS Web Summit, his topic, and maybe a couple other things. So let's take a listen. Hi, everybody. It's Jim Hoffman here from the EMS Web Summit, and I actually have one of the speakers from the summit with me today, Evan Feuer, and I'm going to get Evan on here in a second and just ask him some quick questions and let you guys get a little inside peek on what Evan's about and what his topic's going to be about. So, Evan, you're there? You're ready to go here?
Yeah, hi, Jim.
How you doing? Good. Evan, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And before I ask you some of the key questions, I guess, for this short little interview here, maybe just give the listeners a little bit, let them know about you and what your background is.
Sure. Been a paramedic about 20 years. Last about 13 here in New Jersey, the lovely Garden State. I've spent some time, I've run a university-based paramedic program in the past. I was a program coordinator for a university-based bioterrorism research center. Spent a year and a half in Iraq as a medic over there with the Department of Defense. And I'm currently running an online EMS continuing education business, distancecme.com.
I'll tell you, it's good you mentioned that, because my next question, I want to kind of ask you what your thoughts are on as far as online-based education for EMS and what you feel, whether or not it should be more widely accepted to meet all of the continuing education requirements that are out there. A lot of different regions and states and all, they kind of minimize what you can use when it comes to distance learning. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you think more of that should be accepted as a bigger chunk of what providers can get?
Well, what I can tell you is, yes, I do think more of it should be accepted, and that's the direction that we're going right now. I'll use the National Registry as an example. You have to do a 48-hour paramedic refresher class. At least 38 hours has to be live. The thought is that there's a certain amount of interactive learning that goes on that you can't replicate from distributive learning. But as technology advances, you're able to replicate that same level of interaction, actually even I think to a greater extent, through a lot of the new online learning platforms. And that's why CSPEAMS, Continuing Education Coordinating Board for EMS, I think is the acronym, they came up with a new F5 rating for EMS education programs, which are interactive live courses. They actually call it VILT, Virtual Instructor-Led Training, and it's basically internet-based learning programs that meet the same level of interactiveness that live courses do. So you're able to actually replicate that.
Right. Well, now, a lot of colleges too do that, right? Some of the distance learning colleges have live I guess instruction with their students, and then that can be applied to people's college degrees, and they can actually get credit for that, right, these days, and that's going on too.
Absolutely. My my soon-to-be sister-in-law is now finishing up a master's degree that she never has to leave her bedroom, never has to leave her house for.
Right.
And she goes and she attends a couple times a week live interactive courses with group study sessions, all facilitated on the internet.
Yeah, it's good. I think this is really, like you said, it is really the future, and it's really coming around. And I think that it gives people more opportunity to get education. They might be more apt to go ahead and take part in it. Even things at the EMS Web Summit here, where it's really giving people more of a bigger venue to take part in this stuff and take advantage of this education, this different type of media that's getting presented to them. Evan, during the event, I want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be discussing. And I don't want you to give too much away, but maybe just give the attendees or the people listening today what they can expect from your presentation.
Okay. Well, the title is Dazed and Confused, Sympathetic Nervous System Stimulation and EMS Response. And I'll just give you a quick background on how I came up with this. I do a lot of training or continuing education for EMS providers, and I constantly come across students who went through paramedic school, and they're just having the darndest time making it through that final exam to get through National Registry. And I started doing a lot of research on studying and stress studying and trying to figure out ways to get people past those barriers that they're having. And as it turns out, people that they call themselves stress testers, it's just basically they have a very sensitive sympathetic nervous system. They release, they take stress very seriously. They release lots of epinephrine and norepi into their system, and it makes certain physiological changes that occur in your body that actually make it difficult for you to test. And then the next step from that was, well, how do those physiological changes that occur in your body under stressful circumstances, how would that affect the performance of EMS providers in the field, trying to intubate, trying to do IVs, trying to deal with hysterical family members? When you're under all those levels of stress, how does that affect your performance? And it turns out there's a lot of data out there specifically for military and law enforcement, not so much for EMS specifically, but a lot of that data can be easily interpreted for the benefit of EMS. So I took a whole lot of data out there, spent a lot of time researching it, and took all that information and applied it towards what we do in EMS on what happens to your body physiologically, what parts of that is good, what parts of those changes are not so good that negatively impact your performance, and how do we change that? How do we become aware of it? And what kind of little tips can we give you to minimize the negative impact of that type of stimulation?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you, it sounds like it's going to be a really useful topic for people, and this is something that the Web Summit trying to accomplish, is to give the attendees something that's actionable that they can kind of use right away and really apply it to what they're doing every day. And I think that topic's really going to hit the mark when it comes to that. So before we go, there's one question I just want to ask you. I kind of been asking this to a lot of the speakers. It doesn't really apply to the summit, but I'd like to get everybody's kind of opinion on this. And the question is, as an EMS professional, what you think is the biggest challenge facing EMS?
Well, the single biggest challenge, I think we have a multitude of big challenges. Yeah. But I think pay is a big issue. And nowadays, when you talk about, there's all the healthcare providers, or paramedics and EMS professionals specifically, in order to perform to the high level that they're expected to perform, they have to have their house in order at home before they leave. Which means they have to know their bills are taken care of, that their families are taken care of, so they can go and have their mindset on their job specifically.
Yeah.
And in the United States, there's just a lot of places that EMS professionals are woefully underpaid, and so in right now in the current economy with all the turmoil that's going on with this national health care bill and all the uncertainty about payments for Medicare and Medicaid and so forth, I think ultimately bringing funding to EMS is one of a series of big issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's something I've talked about a few times on my podcast, the EMS Office Hours, where we talk about pay, and it has to kind of be focused on a little bit more to, like you said, to have your house in order and not have to work 2-3 jobs and focus on the job in hand. And that's something I think that's really a challenge, for EMS, because a lot of times a lot of agencies and organizations just want to put butts in the seat and they don't care about pay or education. They just want to get a body in that seat. And I think that EMS has to kind of move away from that. And I think part of that, like you said, is just getting the pay there so that providers can actually go out there and perform their jobs and do it in a way that they can have a clear head and focus on their on the profession. So, well, listen, Evan, I don't keep it too much longer, but I do want to, of course, thank you again for joining me today. And just real quick, anything else you want to mention or share with listeners before we cut out?
No, everybody stay safe out there, and that's it.
All right, great. Well, listen, Evan, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to joining you in May 17th for the EMS Web Summit, and I'm sure the listeners are going to be very pleased with your presentation as well. So thanks again for giving your thoughts today, and I'll see you soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim.
All righty. All right, guys, so that was Evan Feuer, and I think that his topic is something I think that we all can actually use, and some of the content he's going to be giving, I think, is going to really make you realize the importance of what he's going to be speaking about. So be sure to join us again, the EMS Web Summit. It's at emswebsummit.com. Get the information there on the speakers, the topics, and the sponsor giveaways from various sponsors, including Watanu, CentralLearn, StatGear Tools, and Talon Rescue. All those can be found over on the main site, and you can check out the sponsors and their products and see what you can have a chance of actually winning during the live event. So be sure to sign up, guys. It's free, no charge, for a full day of really great EMS education and really great insight from these leading EMS providers, educators, and leaders in the EMS profession. So hopefully see you then, guys. May 17, 2012, emswebsummit.com. Of course, this is Jim Hoffman for EMS Office Hours. And as always, stay safe.